now and 39 degrees. We're waiting for some rain, and some folks already have snow flurries.
At 880 on your AM dial, your all-news address is WCBS.
The 5-day forecast in 3 minutes. Good morning. I'm Jeff Kaplan.
Good morning. I'm Pat Carroll.
Still to come on WCBS 880.
Believe it or not, Ground Zero is actually a pretty safe place to work. We'll hear about it after sports.
We'll go to the Wall Street Journal for the overnight numbers ahead of today's market open. WCBS News Time, 8:15.
Sports now with Jared Max and an unbelievable inspirational story.
Pat, it was November 18th, and former Oakland Raiders All-Pro linebacker Phil Villapiano was leaving a Raiders-Chargers game in Oakland, walking with his friends through the stadium parking lot, trying to meet up with some fellow tailgaters.
I said, hey, anybody got an extra beer? And one guy said, hey, you're Phil Villapiano. We started talking. Everything was great. They opened up the coolers. And then I happened to notice a fellow sitting in a wheelchair. His name was Mitch Oellrich, and we got talking, and I found out that Mitch has been in the chair for 3 years, and he probably shouldn't have been there because he had an accident on a diving board, broke 3 bones in his neck, but he didn't sever his spinal column. Now, I found out in a crazy way because Conrad Dover, another good friend of mine from the NFL, his wife dies in a hammock on the 4th of July, flips over, she hits her head, she's paralyzed. But Conrad's telling me Joy's going to walk again because she did not sever her spinal column. So anyway, not knowing what I'm talking about, but I knew that. Mitch Oellrich tells me he didn't sever his spinal column. He's just a little bit lazy. You know, then I became the John Madden. I said, get up and walk. Get up right now and walk. And naturally, the guy couldn't do it. Mitch made me some promises that, you know, he could walk by the Super Bowl. I said, you can walk by the Super Bowl? You promised me you'll work out every day like a Raider would work out, getting ready for the season. And he said, I promise you, Phil. And I slipped off my Super Bowl ring. I said, give me your hand. I put the ring on his hand. I said, you keep this, and you give this thing back to me when you walk on the Super Bowl.
What would happen? Come on back at 8:45. We'll tell you all about it. Dallas last night beat the Nets 112-100. Rangers losing Detroit 3-1. Jared Max, News Radio 880 Sports. WCBS News Time 8:17.
Pat Summerall here from My Duck's Bed. That's DUX. I've been sleeping on My Duck's Bed for some time now, and I have to say it's the biggest favor I've ever done for myself. I'd always...
Joe Connolly watching the overnight futures numbers to see what they may bode for the day ahead on Wall Street. We'll check in with him in 10 minutes.
Okay, so the former Raiders linebacker gave his Super Bowl ring to a paralyzed man back in November. You were telling us a half hour ago, Jared.
Yeah, Jeff.
He said, you'll give me back the ring after you walk again on Super Bowl Sunday.
I'll let Phil Villapiano tell you what happened.
So everybody's out there just getting ready for the Super Bowl. And Glenn Carano was there, and he used to play with the Cowboys. Hollywood Henderson was there. Conrad Dover was there. Tony Hill was there. And we all did our predictions for the game. And then Glenn said, we got a little something special. A couple guys that helped Mitch up on the stage. He's standing on the stage with 2 crutches. And everybody went, what? This is really going to happen? It was total silence. A couple guys started going, Mitch, 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 you know, to kind of get the flavor. Everybody started clapping. And Mitch took 1 step. And then he couldn't take another. He kind of froze, you know? And everybody was like, oh, God, it ain't going to work. And then he took the 2nd step, and everybody cheered him. And he took a 3rd and a 4th. I guess all together, maybe about 20 steps to reach me. And everybody was cheering. Everybody was on their feet, standing ovations. The cameras were rolling. It was so beautiful. You couldn't have believed it. And then it was all done, and Glenn Carano said, okay, now we got to get ready for the Super Bowl. And I said, no, we don't. We got one more thing to do. And I stuck out my hand, and Rich slid the ring back on my finger, and everybody cheered. It was one of the best moments ever. My friend Mitch Oellrich, first time he's been out of a wheelchair, except in his garage working out for this day, he fell into my arms. I couldn't believe it, Jerry. It was like unbelievable.
An unbelievable story. We're going to hear from Mitch Oellrich later in the morning. Last night...
Good morning, I'm Pat Carroll.
Thanks for listening. I'm Jeff Kaplan.
And coming up on WCBS 880...
Terrorists, Revenge, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Right after we check sports.
And the business news with Joe Connolly in 10 minutes from the Wall Street Journal.
WCBS News Time, 9:45. Dow's up 58 points, but a mixed market. The NASDAQ down 3. Here's Jared Max with a check on sports.
Dallas double-dipped. NBA last night, the Mavericks became the first team to beat the Nets more than once this season. Jersey was held scoreless for the final 4:25. They lost 112-100. First home loss in 9 games for the Nets. Tonight, the Knicks host the Hawks. Hockey, Rangers beaten in Detroit by the Red Wings 3-1. Devils tonight host the Thrashers, while the Islanders will be home to take on Toronto. This morning, we've been fortunate to hear the story told by former Oakland Raiders linebacker Phil Villapiano about the 35-year-old paralyzed man who he met in November in the parking lot of a stadium and gave his only Super Bowl ring to, with the deal that Phil would get the ring back on Super Bowl Sunday after his fellow friend would walk for the first time since he paralyzed himself in May of 1999. Well, this now is Mitch Oellrich, who was paralyzed.
The fact that this gentleman, Phil Villapiano, in the middle of a parking lot on a Sunday after a football game, not knowing me at all, entrusted me with one of his most prized possessions and said, "Here, I'm gonna give you this until you walk again." And that's just a miracle for somebody to do that. It could have been a cigar band, but for him to trust me with one of his most prized possessions. Every time I looked at that ring, I saw Phil Villapiano's face yelling at me, screaming to walk to him. And that's what I was going to do.
Absolutely an inspirational story. Mitch said that if his story can touch anyone and get somebody out of their chair, inspire them to walk again, it would all be worth it. Sports is brought to you by the Food Emporium, with the very best features small batch prepared Walnut Acres organic soups. 15-ounce jar, $3.69 with the bonus savings card. The very best just for you. Jared Max, News Radio 880 Sports, WCBS News Time, 9:47.
Traffic.